Traditionally, the business model was I make the product, I sell it to you, you use it and you discard it. In a circular economy thinking, we take a different notion. We actually will recuperate the value of the product when it comes to the end of its life cycle. We can either repurpose or refurbish the product for another use cycle, or we can recuperate the raw materials from the end product and recycle them so that we can build another product. In circular economy business models, I would like products to come back to me as the original designer and manufacturer. And once you get your head around that notion, why would I actually sell you the product if you are primarily interested in the benefit of the product? And maybe I can stay the owner of the product and just sell you the benefit.
Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, all praises, all honor, all glory be unto Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and our elders at Great Millstone that taught us his truth and who are ruling well through the spirit and through the power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Shalom, peace and love to you, Akim, that are prophets and teachers who hazard your lives to daily edify the elect of the nation of Israel, pushing the truth and the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures. To the rest of you believers, you Akim, Akwathim, and children, Shalom, peace be unto you as well. Psalms, the 28th chapter, verse 3, draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. The same verse, but within the NLT, do not drag me away with the wicked, with those who do evil, those who speak friendly words to their neighbors while planning evil in their hearts. The inspiration of this lesson comes from an article in which the article is dealing with something known as the circular economy. All right, and in the circular economy, you will own nothing and you will be happy according to the elites that run this society, that runs this world. You will own nothing and you will be happy. You know, all of the products and the services, all right, that are available within the NWO, all right, or the Great Reset will be rented or leased to you. All right, you will own nothing and they say that you will still be happy. But ultimately, this is a form of forced labor, all right, peonage or debt slavery. All right, forced labor, peonage or debt slavery. All right, and what is a peonage? All right, peonage is basically making people serfs, you know, or making them slaves by way of putting them in debt. All right, putting a debt on them that they can never pay back. All right, and if you need something, all right, the basic necessities of life, you know, if you need transportation, if you need somewhere to stay, and you never own that place where you stay or that car that you drive or whatever product or service that you need, then basically that makes you a debtor. And that makes the person that's offering that product or service into you a creditor. All right. And what is debt? You know, debt isn't nothing but another form of slavery. All right. The word peonage goes back to the word peon, which is a word that was used in Spanish America. All right, an unskilled worker, formerly in Mexico especially, a type of serf held in servitude by his creditor until his debts are worked off. All right, and in this NWO, your debts will never be worked off. All right, why? Because as long as you need products and services, you will never be able to fully pay them off. All right, because they're not for sale. They're just rented and leased unto you. All right, reading on, and who is the creditor? The creditor are the rich elites. Okay. Reading on, it says in 1826, from Mexican Spanish peon, agricultural laborer, especially a debtor held in servitude by his creditor. All right, so this is what this NWO system is going to look like under the MOTB, which is the RFID CHIP and the brain CHIP. All right, the debtor or borrower is the poor. Now, reading in this article, which is from the sociable.co, and this was published August the the 3rd, 2023, the year that all the hopeful prophecies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua come to pass. The circular economy is about moving away from ownership, all right, and accumulation towards services-based models. So what is the lack of ownership? All right, if you don't own anything, then basically that means that you are basically a debtor. All right, if you don't own anything, what's the opposite of owning? All right, someone that owns something has the lordship over it. Reading on, it says the circular economy's products as a service business model risks creating neo-feudalistic technocratic serfdom out of the ashes of the middle class. All right, and we kind of already defined what serfdom is, but however, we're going to look it up and get the actual definition of it. The state of being a serf or feudal laborer. All right, the word serfdom goes back to serf, which is service or servus, but then the Latin, which means slave. All right, you're a bondman or a bondwoman. Reading on, it says, in the name of saving the planet, for all humanity proponents of the circular economy claims it will lead to more durable and sustainable materials, increased recycling, and lower carbon emissions. So they're making it sound good. They're packaging it real good. You know, they're formulating it real pretty, making it look extremely cute. All right, but basically it's nothing but a bear trap with a bow tie on it. Now you stick your hand in there and guess what? They got you, got your ass. All right, so they're making it look good, and they're making it look as if this is what the people needs. This is the answer. This is the solution. But ultimately, it's a way to entrap you. All right, this is a way to entrap you, to entrap the world, to put the world in slavery, to where there's the creditors, which are the rich elite banking families. These are the ones that own everything. All right, and you ain't nothing else but just a meat, vessel that they're sucking dry. All right, you're laboring within the society. You're allowed to labor within the society because you have dummies that are out there that are going to take the MOTB, which is the RFID CHIP and the brain CHIP. All right, thinking that this will give them the liberties and freedoms that they desire back. But however, all right, they have put themselves in bondage because now you are never able to pay off your debt. You're never able to, own anything, which means that you constantly are in need. All right, you constantly need water. You constantly need food. You constantly need shelter. You constantly need, clothing. But you're not going to own any of that. And because the fact that you can't pay it off and own it, but you constantly need it, all right, means that you're going to have to constantly keep working in order to pay for those services. Now, this devil, he packaged up the idea of it and just made it seem like, it's the answer. It's beautiful. It's good. It's what we need. It's going to really help. But really, what he didn't tell you was really in his heart, or really in the hearts of the elites, is that this is a way that they're going to enslave the world. All right, and add in technology, add in the brain CHIP, add in the RFID CHIP. They got your ass. All right, so it says, sounds great, right? However, circular economy business models risk creating a neo-feudalistic technocratic serfdom out of the ashes of the middle class, who, like peasants and serfs, will be able to buy things. Who wouldn't be able to buy things like houses, cars, appliances, but rather lease them from the futuristic lords and vassals who would digitally track and trace every product They provide it as a service. So that means that the IoT will be heavily introduced, which is the Internet of Things, as well as the Internet of Bodies. All right, this whole story reminds me of The Repo Man, which was a movie that came out in 2010, and the director of that movie was Miguel Spoknik. All right, and you had famous actors in the movie, you know, Jude Law, Forrest Whitaker, Liev Schreiber, and the actress Alice Braga. And the concept of the movie was basically how people were penalized for their debt. You know, there was a company that offered artificial implants or artificial like organs. And there was the company had a creditor that would basically put up the money or loan the money for the implant for whoever needed it. All right. And then that person would have to make payments on it. But the amount was so exorbitant to the point where they would never be able to pay it off. So here it is. If you have to borrow money, that means that you can't afford to pay it back anyways. Which means that they'll never would have been able to pay off that large amount. So what would happen is they would trace it down, they would track it down, and then they would send the repo men after them to collect that body modification or that implant. So what happens with things like that? You know, they're gonna send repo men after your ass. You know what happens when someone decides that they can't pay or don't want to pay? All right, but it's not going to be that way anyway, because in the NWO system, because everyone that takes that MOTB is connected to the whole mainframe or the whole system, there's nowhere that you can hide. They'll just take it out anyways. But this isn't nothing, you know, more than slavery. You know, after Jake came out of the hardcore bondage of slavery, there was slavery by another name, which was peonage, you know, or debt slavery, in which the owners, you know, or Edomites, wouldn't allow Jake to buy land. They wouldn't allow Jake to buy tools. They wouldn't allow them to buy clothes. So anything that they got from Esau, they'll put a price on it that was so high to the point where these Jakes couldn't pay it back, so that they'll have to labor, you know, for those particular Edomites in order to work off that debt in which they were never able to work it off. So there's peonage and debt slavery, and this is a form of that. You know, although they package it up and they make it look cute, they make it look pretty, all right? And once they put that C-hip in you, you'll never be able to escape from that system. You'll never be able to escape from that form of slavery, all right, unless the whole system is destroyed, which it will be through the thermonuclear destruction. But everybody that takes it and enjoys themselves with this system, all right, and worship the beast, all right, and the NWO and the Great Reset will be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. But once you take that C-hip, you're a slave. All right. And there's no way that you can get out of that, you know, until that thermonuclear destruction comes. So I want to read a little bit more of this article. It says, if the architect of the Great Reset are permitted to have their way, owning things will become a thing of the past, and you and I, but for you and I, but not for them, thanks to the circular economy business modules. All right, so the only ones that would really own things and have their freedom is the rich elites. Everyone else in the world will be slaves unto them. This is from the Circulatory Gap Report from the 2023 WEF. It says, by moving away from ownership and accumulation and towards modules of access that distribute resources more equally, we can move towards a system that provides high quality services to all. And they make it seem as if they care about everybody. But we know the truth concerning this devil, like it states within the book of Sirach, the 14th chapter, in verse 7 and 8, it says, and if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. And at the last, he will declare his wickedness. The envious man hath a wicked eye, and turneth away his face, and despiseth men. So you don't care about all. You don't care about the people of the world. The only thing you care about is fucking putting your boot on their neck, and that's it. All right, ruling over them through a despot, through a despotism. All right, he wants to make everyone in the world serfs through this technology. All right, the C-hip and the brain C-hip. It says, if you read between the lines in the above quotes, moving away from ownership and accumulation applies to you and I, while we refers to the globalists, corporatists, and technocrats who back this idea. Reading on, it says the people hail from the NGO and think tanks like the WEF, Chatham House, along with members of the European Commission and the United Nations, big corporations, activist groups, central banks, and investment firms, among many other powerful public-private entities. They are the ones who will own everything and have all the power, while you can own nothing and be happy. While you own nothing and be happy. Thanks in a large part to circular economy business modules. According to the WEF, the products as a service circular economy business model is one where the customer purchases a service for a limited time while the provider maintains ownership of the product. So if you don't have ownership, you owe. And as long as you owe, you've become a debtor. All right, you've become a borrower. All right, which means that you are a servant to whoever is lending that service or product to you, and remains incentivized for the product ongoing maintenance, durability, upgrade, and treatment at the end of its use. In circular economy business modules, I would like products to come back to me as the original designer and manufacturer. And once you get your head around that notion, why would I actually sell the product if you are primarily interested in the benefits of the product? Maybe I can stay the owner of the product and just sell you the benefits as a service. All right, this is the CEO of Royal Philips Electronics. All right, his name is Frans van Houten. All right, and he spoke this at the WEF in 2016. But this shows you the mind state of the elites, all right, the globalists, those that rule the world, all right, and that are in control. All right, they don't want you to own anything. They want you to continually owe. And if you take that micro C-hip and that brain C-hip, then this is what you'll be in forever. All right, you have to labor. All right, whether you labor and receive credits from your job, you know, or receive, you know, UBI, whatever the case may be. All right, you're going to have to constantly keep paying for the goods and services that you need. You know, and it's kind of going on right now, but it's not going to be how it is under the NWO, you know, or the MOTB system. All right, because in the MOTB system, then at least, you know, now, basically, if you don't want something, let's say, for instance, you have a credit card and you don't pay on the credit card. Well, look, what can they really do? You know, if you decide that you never want to pay on it again. All right, after a certain amount of, you know, days, it fall off your credit report. You know, under the MOTB system, that'll never happen because they'll just take it directly out of your account, your CBDC account. So you'll never be able to dodge or go without, you know, paying off a particular debt. And then when it comes down to certain services and products, you'll never be able to pay it off to the point of ownership. And because you constantly need it, guess what? Guess what? So once again, the creditors are the rich elites, you know, the debtors or borrowers are the poor. All right. And when you go into the book of Deuteronomy, the 15th chapter, in verse 2, it says this: and this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it, and shall not exact it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. All right. So this is dealing with the year release. All right. The seventh year. All right. When you release, you know, whatever debt that's owed unto you. But however, it says of a foreigner, thou mayest exact it again. But that which is thine with thy brother, thy hand shall release. So this is how they look at us, the rich elite banking families of the world. They look at us as being the foreigners. So therefore, they have no problem with exacting, you know, or even given to us upon usury. All right. Or you know, making us debtors. All right. Using extortion. But when you go into the word creditor, or when you go into a creditor is a lender, or lender is a party, an example, a person, organization, or company, or government that has a claim on the services of a second party. It is a person or institution to whom money is owed. The first party, in general, has provided some property or service to the second party under the assumption usually enforced by contract. Okay? That the second party will return an equivalent property in service. The second party is frequently called a debitor or borrower. The first party is called the creditor, which is the lender of property, service, or money. All right, let's go into the word creditor within the Hebrew. Salakia, bear with me, Baba Kusha. This is the word for creditor. The word there is Masha, but really it should be Nasha. All right, which means a loan released in the 7th year. All right, the word Nasha means to lend, be a creditor. All right, to lend, creditor. Let's see the root word of that. All right. Also, let's look at the word because there's another word here, which is Ba'al, which means owner. All right, it means to be a lord. That's the reason why you got something called the landlord, because the landlord will own the land. All right, we're not landowners because we don't own. Even if you own a house, you don't own the allodial title. The ones that own the allodial title are the rich elite banking families. So therefore, you're not really a landlord. There's certain organizations that you can't even be a part of if you're not a lord, which means that you have to own some land. All right, we don't own any land. And for the most part, we don't really own anything. We're in slavery right now, but however, this is their way of gaining more control. All right. Now, as long as you don't own a service or a product, all right, although you still need that product and you still use it and have to have access into it, all right, you owe, and that makes you what? That makes you a debitor. And what is a debitor? All right, the word debitor is a noun from the 1300s. It comes from French, which is dette. And it says anything owed or due from one person to another, a liability or obligation to pay or render something to another. All right, from Old French dette, from Latin debtium, thing owed, neuter past participle of debre, to owe. So if you owe something, that makes you what? That makes you a borrower. All right, and the scripture say in the book of Proverbs 22:7, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. The borrower is servant to the lender. And they want to put you in that position to where you are constantly a borrower, which means that you are a servant to those that are the creditors or the lenders. All right, the ones that are offering the products, the goods, the services. And there's no way that you can say, well, look, I can't pay you. There's no way that you can default on the loan. There's no way that you can default on the debt. All right, there's no way that you can say, well, you know, I don't want to pay this and then wait, you know, a certain amount of years for it to fall off your credit report. Because people will take that MOTB, the RFID C-HIP and the brain C-HIP, they're going to automatically take it out of their account, which means that you're going to have to work. That means you can't say, okay, well, I don't want to work, or I want to become homeless, or, you know, whatever. You got to work. You got to get up and work within that society. So that's what, in a sense, that's forced labor. You know, that's peonage. You know, that's debt slavery. So now they're making it to where you gotta you gotta work to pay off these particular debts. So basically, you're working to live, you know, or you're working to for your spot within the NWO system. All right. Now, this once applied to the nation of Israel, but this is what the wicked is doing on the left-hand side. The book of Amos, the 8th chapter, verse 4. It says, hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even that make the poor of the land to fail. So you're helping to make people poor. You're forcing that on them, you know, to the point where they have no other choice but to put themselves in slavery under you, or subjection, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, in the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit. Now, although Esau doesn't deal with the new moon, they don't deal with the Sabbath. However, they're falsifying the balances by deceit. They have changed the monetary system to where money ain't money no more. Gold and silver ain't money. All right, they're making the ephah small and the shekel great. You know, they're falsifying balances. It says that we may buy the poor for silver. So you're putting them in debt, so that you can basically make them your servants. It says, and the needy for a pair of shoes, yeah, and sell the refuse of the wheat. So you put them in debt, or you help to formulate this whole system that make them constantly in debt to the point where they become your servants. And they're trying to solidify that by their RFID CHIP and their brain CHIP. That way, there's no escape from that system for anybody that took that. But however, as it states within the book of Job, the 20th chapter, and beginning at the 18th verse, it says, that which he laboreth for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall his restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. Because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. Which is what it says in the NLT. It says they were always greedy and never satisfied. Nothing remained of all the things they dreamed about. And what are they dreaming about? Their NWO. The MOTB system. The Great Reset. All right? Nothing's going to remain of that, because as soon as you try to implement it, the Heavenly Father is going to thwart it. All right? You won't be able to accomplish it. All right? It says, there shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency, all right, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked, all right, shall overcome him. All right, in the midst of plenty, they will run into trouble and be overcome by misery. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through, which is what it says here. It says a bronze tipped arrow, all right, will pierce them, but we know that to be what? The ICBM missiles, thermonuclear destruction. All right, it is drawn and cometh out of his body. Yeah, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. The terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret place. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with them that are left in his tabernacle. So when you get ready to set up the MOTB system, all right, the NWO, your plans for the MWO, guess what? You're going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction, or your country that you're ruling through, you know, is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. And that's going to put an end to your plans, because the plans is to enslave the whole world. Now, people are going to take the MOTB. All right, they are going to become a part of that system, but the system is going to be destroyed by Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. All right, they're not going to be able to enjoy, you know, the success of the NWO. So with that, I truly hope that this lesson was edifying. All praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles and our elders at Great Millstone. Peace and love, say, taste, and mercy be unto the hopeful elect. Shalom and the Baba Ball. Kwambakiyam.